I saw this story, and it relates to what I think will be the story of the offseason in the NBA, which is the story of the season in the NBA, and that's where will Kevin Durant play next season? Madison Square Garden CEO James Dolan is sued for making too much money and spending too much time with his band. Shareholders of MSG allege that Dolan's pay is, quote, excessive, and that his job is only, quote, part-time due to how much he tours with his band JD and the Straight Shot. In a statement, MSG told the Financial Times news service Agenda, which first reported the news, this lawsuit amounts to nothing more than corporate harassment. The company stands by its policies and its practices. And then you get this from NBA insider Chris Haynes. Quote, this is where this blank is fun. This is where it's serious, and I'm just embracing it. He's talking, this is Kevin Durant, talking about playing in the playoffs. I'm just having so much fun right now. This is the time of year is what I'm geared for. I'm just hooping at a high level and enjoying the competitiveness of the playoffs. You go through such a long season to get to this point, and now it's time to produce. Okay. There's always a why to why people leave jobs. Right? There's always a why. I didn't leave ESPN because I didn't like ESPN. I loved it. I had a great house, lived in a great neighborhood. I worked there for 9 years. I knew everybody from the cafeteria person to the people who worked in every different field because I had worked for ESPNnews.com, magazine, radio, studio, games, daily shows, you name it. I'd worked with everybody. So I had relationships with everybody. Plus my kids went to school or played sports or I did, mommy and me courses or my little gym, and I would meet other people from work. We all belonged to the same country club. Like I had nothing to do with any of this nonsense you heard. I didn't even leave for more money. Same number of years. I was offered a 5-year deal at one place and a 5-year deal at the other. But two things. One, if I took the job at CBS, I could move to the West Coast, which would take my radio show, same radio show I have now, 12 to 3. In other words, I'd actually get to see my kids in the afternoon. And that affected me because when you do college basketball, it's 5 months out of the year. You're gone every Saturday, some Sundays, and then days during the week as well. And then, so I'm gone on weekends 5 months out of the year. And on weekday afternoons. And I thought to myself, for 5 years, that's prime parenting time. My kids are going to get to high school. I'll be done and have a bunch of money in my bank, and I won't know my kids. So you combine that with moving home. My dad was sick at the time. And then I got a chance to do the NCAA tournament. Check, check, check. Win, win, win. And then when I left that place for this place, what was the reason? They had moved me mid-contract. That wasn't part of what we originally discussed. So there was a breakdown in communication, a breakdown in some trust. And I believed in this radio network above all others. Because we got Clay, Travis, Dan, Patrick, me, straight out of Vegas, odd couple. Layup. TV people were easy, and I liked. We had growing college basketball, got to do some NFL stuff, live on the West Coast, done at 3 o'clock. It's a wrap. There's a reason why. Everybody thinks people make decisions because of money. If you're any good, you're going to make that money back. It's the truth. You're going to make the money back. There's got to be reasons. Heck, one reason I came here, I want to be happy. And Kevin Durant has not been happy, right? And he hadn't been happy. What was the reason that he left Oklahoma City? Well, it's because you couldn't beat him, you joined him. No, a little bit of that. Because of the construct of Oklahoma City's team, he grew frustrated, not just with Russell Westbrook, it's a little bit. He knew, wherever you go, look, Steph Curry dominates the basketball. Steph Curry has the ball, makes some turnovers, takes some bad shots. Steph's great and probably easier to play with than Westbrook, but there's some flaws there. Russell Westbrook's much better defensively. You don't have to cover for him as much. But the construct of the team, if you go back and watch when they played the Golden State Warriors, every time he got the ball, there were two guys waiting for him in the lane. Because he had Andre Robertson, he had Steven Adams, two non-scorers. And what the Warriors said was, do you think you're the best player on earth? Kevin Durant said, yes. Well, the guy who everybody else thinks is the best player on earth is LeBron James. And if you come join us, we can guarantee two things. One, you'll get a shot at LeBron James every year. And two, you'll get space to show you're the better player. You don't have to play 1-on-2 or 1-on-3. Play 1-on-1. Who's best player in the league? I am. Who's best 1-on-1 player in the league? I am. You want to show it? You want to think it, or do you want to show it? Right? That was the argument. That's what swayed him. It's that's simple. Right? I remember I was at home and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the NCAA. I was talking with my wife and she was like, "Could you ever watch the NCAA tournament again, knowing you turned down the job to work the Final Four?" And I said no. She said, "Well, take the job." It's that simple. So why would Kevin Durant leave this great setup for the New York Knicks? Why? Why would you leave? You're in Northern California, you're moving to a new arena. Because he's in that same, he believed before the playoffs, I'm in that same space. I'm actually the best player. But because James Harden has his own team and has this ridiculously high usage rate, he puts up bigger numbers. Heck, Russell Westbrook's averaged a triple-double the last 3 years. Somehow he's getting more respect than I am because of his stats. Because he's got his own team. And so the thought is, if I can be the guy who saves the Knicks, if I can be the go-to guy, I can put up he's led the league in scoring 4 times. Like we've so quickly forgotten. Kevin Durant has shown he can lead the NBA in scoring 4 times over. But look what's happened this postseason. I'm embracing it. I'm having fun. Why is he having fun? Well, he's playing great and he's winning. Those two things are fun. But he's also getting hey, you know what? Kevin Durant might be the best player on earth. Finally. Steph hasn't been great. Klay Thompson's Klay Thompson. He's up and down. Draymond's been way better in the postseason than regular season, but people are only pointing out, hey, you know what? This Durant kid, he's kind of good. And then you factor in, not just that New York hasn't won, hasn't done anything, and there's no promise of even getting to this fun part, right? Like, do I think they would make the playoffs if Kevin Durant goes there? Sure. And Kyrie Irving goes there? Sure. But is there a guarantee it's going to be this much fun? Like, dude, they literally have not been competitive late in the season in 5 years. You don't just flip a switch and then all of a sudden you're playing like this. I love David Fizdale. Everybody likes David Fizdale. Let me know the last time he was playing deep into the playoffs as a head coach. Hasn't happened. And then you got to work for Jim Dolan. And here's the thing that I have learned in my 3 jobs as a broadcaster and in my 6 or 7 jobs as a player and in my 2 schools that I went to as a basketball player. And I can relate it to every other person who holds a job. A job is only as good as the boss. Right? Is the boss. Look, the reality of Jim Dolan is he is hanging out with the band. He doesn't have anything really to do with basketball. But once a year, he seems to show up and make an ass of himself in Madison Square Garden. And he is still the owner. And so while the plan as of now is you guys run basketball and I'm going to play in the band and I'll show up every now and again. That plan can change whenever he wants it to change. Because Jim Dolan owns the team. So we can sit here and say, well, that wouldn't be right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Owners own. That's a professional sports expression. What does it mean? It's the same reason that Jimmy Haslam employed an analytics department to discover who the best quarterback in the draft was. And then the day of the draft, he goes, yeah, I know you wanted Teddy Bridgewater or somebody else, but we're going to draft Johnny Manziel. Why? Because I'm the owner of the team, and I say what goes. Owners own. For the same reason that the scouts from the Washington Redskins either wanted Josh Rosen or Daniel Jones. And they drafted Dwayne Haskins. Why? Because Snyder's daughter went to school with Dwayne Haskins in high school. Owners own. And so at the end of the day, if you're happy, don't mess with happy. If you compete for a championship, why would you go somewhere where you don't know if you can compete for a championship? And if you're finally getting the respect you deserve. I mean, heck, who among us hasn't been in a job? I remember when I was at ESPN, one of the sticking points, this is a true story, I probably shouldn't share, but I don't care, whatever. I told you, I liked working there. But Mike and Mike had an office. Colin had an office. Nobody else had an office. I had a cubicle, which I didn't mind. I didn't spend a ton of time there, but one of the reasons I didn't spend a ton of time there was it was a cubicle. It was loud. And when I needed a nap, because I would do Sports Center in the morning and then do all these shows and do my show in the afternoon and then do college basketball or something at night, I wanted somewhere to like just close my eyes or just shut off the sound. And I viewed it as a respect thing. Right? I'm here enough. I do enough. Why do those guys get it? So I actually understand KD's plight. I think many of you understand KD's plight. He's not from Northern California. He likes it, but he hasn't loved it. And one of the reasons he hasn't loved it was people haven't embraced him as being as good as he, in his heart of hearts, knows he is, because his performance at the key times has been good enough to be deemed at the level that he believes it is. Until now. And so the reason I started with a story about shareholders at MSG suing James Dolan for making too much money and spending too much time with his band only tells you James Dolan, kind of a jerk. Nobody really likes him. And if you're the New York Knicks, you got to be getting really, really nervous. Because 3 months ago, it was a wrap. He wasn't happy, and the Knicks looked like a great landing spot. And now, he is happy, and the Knicks look like the Knicks.